Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Hello viewers, welcome to Sharing the Scoop. Today with us we have Faiz Shaikh, who has completed his MBA last year from MET College. Let's hear from him. Hi Faiz, how are you doing?
Hi Trishna, I am doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good too, thank you. So can you just tell our viewers a little bit about the college, MET College, and the course you opted for and a little more about it?
So, if there was one word or two words I could describe MIT colleges, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Most importantly, I feel the amount of subjects or the type of subjects you get, yeah, obviously those are important, but more important, I would ask viewers or fellow aspirants, I would ask them to consider the type of professors the college has to offer. Yeah, I mean, infrastructure looks good and everything when you see a college from outside, but the quality of professors is what important. You can talk to alumni using LinkedIn and you can get some information, and you can view the professor's profile on LinkedIn. So I think that is important. And my journey at MET began back in May 2019, back when the world was normal. And first year it was amazing. Oh, by the way, MET has a great fest. And yeah, the subject load is high. We have to stay in college till around 8 p.m., 7:30 p.m. because almost every other day or almost every other week we had to prepare presentations. And one most important skill you'll have to learn is working with a group. You guys cannot survive alone. You cannot be a lone survivor. You cannot be a hotshot in an MBA college or anywhere in the world. You have to learn to survive with a group. You have to learn to work with a group. You don't have to be a leader all the time. You can listen to people who give better insights than you. So this is my number one advice: is learn to be a team player. Basically, you need to know when you have to lead and when you have to give others the lead. And remaining during the COVID-19 pandemic, it was swift. Since I was the CR of finance, I had to arrange the lectures and everything, and it went quite smoothly, honestly. So
You're
yeah,
doing your MBA
that's
in
pretty much it.
finance. So doing your MBA in
Yeah, and
finance.
yes.
Yeah, you've done.
Yeah. So my finance specialization starts from second year. First year, the first two sems, we have quite common subjects for both finance, marketing, or HR or operation, whichever you opt to, because you need to learn a few skills if you're getting into the industry. You cannot just focus on one thing. It is important to be an expert in one thing, but you need to know about the general environment, generally how things work. So yeah,
Mhm.
that is also an important thing. You need to know how it works. And the most important advice I got from everyone was read news. So I would say the same. Just start
Read
reading news.
newspaper.
If you don't want to read, if you don't want to, not just newspaper, you can read articles on your phone. Honestly, who picks up a newspaper these days? But read vivid things. You have to broaden your mind. You can read about sports, you can read about fashion, you can read about anything, but just instill that habit of reading. It doesn't have to be finance. Finance gets boring at one point. You're reading numbers, it gets boring. So you can try different genres and you can
Mhm.
choose whichever you like. Just start reading. You don't have to read big books, as everyone says, but generally news. That is an important.
That is important. I guess even for your entrance, before you prepare for your GDPI rounds, reading helps a lot. And even,
Definitely.
yeah, even
The
when you're
GDPR,
doing
I will tell you a funny story. So I wanted to get into a college and my PI, my GD went amazing. My PI was going amazing. I knew all the concepts. I gave every answer. I gave every mathematical answer. But the person asked me about news, and I did
it.
not have the habit of reading at that time. And the interviewer literally said to me, Faiz, your interview is going amazing. Just don't let it slide from here. And sadly, that happened. But nevertheless, I learned from it.
Of
So
course.
that's why I'm telling people, before something like that happens to you, you have to start reading. नॉट बिग बुक्स, वो सब नहीं पढ़ना है कुछ भी बड़ा बड़ा. स्मॉल आर्टिकल्स 1-2 पेज, तो कितना ही टाइम लगता है.
That's really nice. So, can you? So that was all about MET College and a few tips. Thank you for that. Can you tell us a little bit about your educational background? Like before you started MBA, where do you actually come from? What did you do?
Okay, so I graduated from MMK College with
Okay.
the BMS course, and again specialization finance. And University of Mumbai, which MMK is affiliated with, follows a same type of pattern. First year you have general subjects, you are introduced to new subjects and everything, and the second and third year you are presented with new subjects, finance specific subjects, marketing specific subjects. And my journey during graduation was actually not that eventful, honestly. The one thing I learned from that is you need to be quick. If you are not quick, someone will go ahead of you.
Hmm.
And second was, again, you cannot rely on Excel all the time, you cannot rely on calculators all the time, that you will get formulas and everything. You have to remember the formula, because we had to physically write the papers. So yeah, having Excel is amazing when you're working, but when you're discussing with someone, you will not have Excel. You will have to remember formulas, you will have to remember concepts. So yeah, that is an important thing I learned during my graduation. And in general, working with group, and which I mentioned earlier. Most important, learn Microsoft Excel, Word and PowerPoint, guys. सबसे important है. कोई भी वर्टिकल में जा रहे हो, these three will be your best friends. तुम्हें कोई पाइथन, कोई आर अभी फिलहाल करने की जरूरत नहीं है. If your work profile suggests, then surely, but these three applications you have to know at the back of your hand. Excel formulas, you don't have to know basic bade bade VB and macros, but basic formulas you have to know. Word documents are not that much of a hassle, I think, but PowerPoints, yeah, PowerPoints may you need to be concise. That's also I learned during my graduation time. Concise, stay concise, more very important.
Okay, thank you for that. So, are you a fresher or do you have work experience?
So I'm a fresher.
Okay.
During my fifth sem, I started preparing for CT, and yeah, so I'm basically a fresher. Directly, I went from graduation to MBA. Funnily enough, I did not even get my sixth sem report card, and I was already in an MBA college. I was actually the youngest from my
Wow.
entire batch.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. So, you were preparing side by side with your BMS,
Yeah,
and you gave only CET. MET takes CET, right? So you appeared
yes,
only for
MET
CET.
takes both CAT and CT,
Okay.
but I was sure of my skills with CT. I was having good times. I was posting good times regarding all the three subjects. So I was more confident with CT. So I went ahead with CT. It was all about timing. So these exams are all about timing. So if I could time my answers well with CT, so I went ahead with that, and I went to perfect it. So I did not pay attention to questions related to CAT or ZAT or any other exam, since obviously they were more difficult. They would hamper my time. And as I
Perfect.
mentioned, I had a small time window.
Perfect. That's really nice. You were focused and you knew which entrance you want to appear for and all the
Yeah.
colleges. That's nice. So, while you were preparing for CET, did you face any challenge, any particular subject, or any other challenge that you faced? And what worked for you?
Biggest challenge I face was the time it took for me to read the question and understand the question.
Because the
And this
time
took the
limit is
longest
short.
time. Yeah, because the timer. And if you see logical reasoning questions, the puzzle, they are huge. They are 10-15 lines each puzzle, and you
Hmm.
have next 5 to 10 questions regarding the same one. So if you miss the first one, you will miss all the ones ahead. So what I started doing was I started preparing figures for everything. So let's say someone is living in a window on the 7th floor, 6th floor, 8th floor, whatever. So I started creating a building of my own, started drawing randomly to solve these puzzles. One thing was this helped. And during CET, I would ask people to strategize your papers. Focus on your strengths, the answers you really know. For me, it was verbal and reading comprehension. I was strong with that. So I started with verbal. I completed verbal in, let's say, 1 hour. Next were
Okay.
2 hours remaining. And yeah, reading comprehension was good. It was very good. So post verbal, I went to logical reasoning. Honestly, I could not find enough time to do, and I could not remember enough formulas for math. For example, the bucket formula, the train formula, the car formula, and everything. So I knew that I am going to fumble in that part. So I have to make other parts strong. So if you have one weakness, you need to have other strengths that complement it, that hide it, that
Hmm.
does not show to people that you're vulnerable,
Figure.
right? So
Hmm.
that's what I used. I used logical reasoning and verbal and RC in my favor. And even in logical reasoning, I strategized the coding, decoding questions, the data interpretation, all the questions were easy ones. So the ones I'm 100% sure of, I'll go with that. And in the remaining time, if you cannot solve the questions, do not leave it blank.
Just
You do
answer.
not run the risk of negative marking.
Hmm.
You have a 25% chance, you have a 25% probability, use it to your strength. So what I'm saying is create a strength. Create two. If three subjects are a strength, then amazing. Otherwise, create at least two subjects that you're very good at. Prepare at the end. You can solve any questions given in that subject. That's what I did. And that's where the time thing came. I had to perfect the time
Hmm. The speed for
because I knew maths
solving.
will take time.
Hmm.
So I had to get these down.
Okay, wow. So when you got a call from MET, can you tell us about the process? How did it go? How many rounds there were, PI, GD, everything about that?
Yeah. So I initially had to fill out a form, an
Hmm.
admission form, basically all the DA documents and everything you submit, and they give release dates. So there's a release date for list one, list two, and list three.
Hmm.
In the list one, I could not get into MET, and by list two, I was selected for GDPI. I received a date. Now it started with GD. So the basic round of a GD, you have one person who monitors, and people have to discuss. And most importantly, मच्छी बाजार नहीं बनाना है. Starting the GDP and ending the GDP, brownie points. ये तो सबने सुना होगा.
Yeah.
And having concise points. So I'll give you a tip. This is what I used. So I used like a quadrant. So you get a paper, right? You're given a topic, you get 5 to 10 minutes to think about it. So I created a quadrant, PEST, political, economical, social, technology. So let's say
Nice.
you are given a topic of metros. Why do you think metros are good? Why do you think metros are bad? Start discussing about it. So you start with political, how it helps, etc., etc. I would not really mind. I would not really want you to go to political. Second is economical. You can talk about the cost. You can talk about the housing, how housing near the metros will go down, how the restaurants are suffering because they get covered. Third is social, basic social. And fourth is technological. What advance will it bring? Will it decrease the traffic for me? Will it actually help people? Will it add on? Will it have any value addition apart from the Mumbai local? So these are the type of question you have to ask yourself. And quadrant. So आसान नहीं था. अगर मैं political के बारे में सोच रहा हूँ तो मैं वही सोचूंगा. My thoughts will not run around every type of question. So this is what I did during GD. Next is PI. वो
Hmm.
तो आप confidence पर है. Play on your strengths, obviously. Start with topics you know. They will obviously ask random topics about finance, and just read it. Basic news पढ़ो. You need to know basic thing क्या चल रहा है. अभी कल मैं बोलूँ market क्यों बढ़ रहा है. So you need to know a few reasons. के number of retail investors are increasing, the companies are coming out with better than expected results. इस वजह से बढ़ रहा है market. Or any XYZ reason. So you should know basic points. Interview में they don't expect you to be an expert. ये तो लिख के लेना. You don't have to be someone like a hedge fund manager or anything. Basic सोचो, logic लगाओ. Market क्यों बढ़ेगा? क्योंकि market में पैसा आया. पैसा दो तरीके से आएगा. Same लोग ज्यादा invest कर रहे हैं या ज्यादा लोग और इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. तो सेकंड वन चल रहा है फिलहाल, जो बूम चल रहा है, सोशल मीडिया एवरीथिंग. So ऐसे just see if logic fits. Common sense use करो. That's all I'll ask in interviews. Common sense.
Okay, so they didn't ask any technical questions, something
Yeah,
that
they
you
did
wouldn't
ask.
be able to answer. Okay.
Yeah, they did ask. There was nothing that I couldn't answer. There was a trick question. So I had written in my resume that I can speak Spanish, which I can obviously. But the person who was interviewing me asked, "What is the economic conditions currently going in Spain?" That I had no idea.
Okay.
This was a trick question.
So
So yeah,
basically,
ऐसे random हो सकता है,
hmm,
but
you need to
very
be
very less
well
probability.
versed. Okay.
हाँ, जो भी लिखा है तुम्हारे फॉर्म में, यहाँ पे तो रेज्यूमे नहीं होता, फॉर्म होता है, तुम्हें सब आना चाहिए.
Okay.
बेसिक अगर मैं फाइनेंस के लिए जा रहा हूँ तो दे विल आस्क व्हाट इज लाइबोर और व्हाट इज बेसिकली एनपीए. अब एनपीए क्या होता है? नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट. वो लोग
Hmm.
परसेंटेज नहीं पूछेंगे, आरबीआई ने क्या परसेंटेज सेट किया, रिकवरी है, सबका कुछ नहीं पूछेंगे. दे जस्ट आस्क मीनिंग, बेसिकली फुल फॉर्म्स एंड बेसिक फॉर्मूलाज. वर्किंग कैपिटल क्या होता है, करंट एसेट, करंट लायबिलिटी, ऐसे बेसिक. सो जस्ट हैव टू प्रिपेयर बेसिक कंसेप्ट्स. रेशियोज भी नहीं प्रिपेयर करोगे चलेगा. बस फाइनेंशियल इन्फॉर्मेशन होना चाहिए अगर फाइनेंस के लिए जा रहे हो मार्केटिंग आई डोंट हैव मच आइडिया ऑनेस्टली
Okay. That was
सो
really
या
very
सॉरी
insightful. So, to quickly wrap it up, would you like to give any suggestion or tips to the MBA aspirants preparing for different exams or for CET?
या so the most important tip I would give is improve your language. By language I do not mean the way you speak but the type of words you speak. So let's say in English you can, let's say things like this is very good, this is a very good information, versus when you say something like this is insightful information. You know, it impacts. You have to be concise and you have to be impactful. So read good. Second is always be concise. Don't overshoot or don't undershoot. Be concise. जितना बोलना है उतना बोल के खत्म करो. Be
No.
straightforward. Corporate world, MBA, सब जगह people really appreciate you being straightforward. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Third is already said, learn to be a team player. That will be the most important skill in your arsenal. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow, thank you so much, Faiz. Thank you for your time. This was
Thank you
really
for giving
very,
me this opportunity, Trishna.
oh, please. Like, this was really very insightful, and I'm sure the viewers got a lot of clarity as well. So, thank you for that, and we wish you all the best as well.
Thank you so much. I wish you the same. Take care.